Welcome to LinkedUp, Breaking Boundaries in Education, a podcast that focuses on what is happening in education today, connecting everyone to the movers and shakers that are breaking boundaries in the education arena.
Welcome to LinkedUp Breaking Boundaries in Education. You know, Jerry, that I love a podcast smash. I love when we have podcast guests join us on our podcast, and we actually have an icon today. We have an icon, an educational consultant icon, and I'm so excited.
You know, you used the word icon, and I was going to use the word legendary.
Legendary, a legendary icon.
They both were. Oh, my goodness. If you've been in education at all, you know about Barbara Bray.
Yes.
She really is a legendary icon, right? Yeah, she is. You know, Jamie, I had not met her before South by Southwest. I had not met her in person. I had followed her online. I had admired her for ages, but had not met her. And we had so much fun with her.
I had seen her the year before at South by Southwest, but I was like, ooh, look, there's Barbara Bray. She's
I
standing
know.
right in Starbucks. I was like, ooh. And then that was it. But this time, of course, you know, we were able to get connected. And it was just, we were old friends. We spent so much time together and had so much fun. So,
Yes,
happy to have her.
hanging out, and we did all kinds of fun things together, but it was a real treat. And it's an additional treat to have Barbara on the podcast today.
Yeah.
And we, first of all, welcome. I can't believe you both. All this, I'm just gloating and honored to be here with you. And we did have a lot of fun. We have so many things we could talk to her about, but one of the focus will be her book, Define Your Why. I think now more than ever, for some reason, after the pandemic, I think people have started to reassess themselves, where
Yeah.
they are, what they're doing. I know I have. And I started reading this book, and it is brilliant. I have enjoyed it. But I think that it's timely in that we really do need to define our why. So
Well, time and time less, right? Timely and time less.
timeless.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
true. That's true.
Right. I have to get it.
Why
Okay.
did you write this book? What prompted you?
Well, I wrote it before the pandemic, and it came out in February 2020. And I had everything planned. I had book studies, and Barnes and Noble booked me. You know, we're going to do some signings, and I was going to go all over, and everything got canceled. And what happened was, it's really weird. It's like all of a sudden it's being found again. And like
Yeah.
I shared it 2 years ago at South by Southwest and last year. And each time in the bookstore, it sold out in a day. And I was like, oh, something's going on. Then people were reaching out to me saying, I need some help. It's really hard, Barbara. And this book touched my heart. And I went, whoa. So
Yeah.
something's happening now. And that's what happened this time at South by Southwest. They sold fast, and you got one. And people were stopping me in the hall, telling me how much they loved my book. And I was sitting here thinking, I wrote it because the stories inspired me so much from different people I had talked to, mostly educators. And so some of the stories are in the book, but I talk about my journey, and it seemed to resonate with a lot of people. And that's why I did it. I love stories, and that's why the subtitle is Own Your Story So You Can Live and Learn on Purpose, because a lot of people don't even know who they are. They don't
Yeah.
really know their own story, and they don't know which one to tell, and they're afraid to tell it. It's all those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, how do we get down to figuring out who we are and our story?
Well, we know deep down, we know something about ourselves. We know a lot about ourselves, but maybe we're afraid to let people see it or know it.
That's true.
And for me, if you read, like the first chapter, I went into a profession that, because my guidance counselor told me I'd be good at, I didn't know I'd be good at it. And so I got accepted in the dental hygiene.
Right.
And I worked as a hygienist for many years when my kids were young. It just wasn't me until I started teaching dental hygiene and started teaching and learning that I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be an educator.
Yes.
I think a lot of people, they they um they really don't know who they are, and someone tells them, "Oh, you'll be really good at this," and then they do it, or they go to college in a major that they're not even feeling like that's them, and then they do it, and then they're really unhappy later. So I think we're always growing and changing, and it took me some time to figure me out.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I was just thinking both my kids went to college for something that they're not doing today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this new generation is that way as well. Like you said, Jamie, timeless.
Timeless.
Timely.
Yeah.
Along this line, in this book, there's this little phrase, and I think I'm going to get it wrong, but it's called your Ikigai, Ikigai. What is that?
Ikigai. It's
Ikigai.
Ikigai. Ikigai. It means life force, and it's from Japan. It's the meaning of what actually it's why you get up in the morning. What do you live for? And I learned about that. Gosh, I have to tell you, it was at 2017 South by Southwest EDU. I did a 20-minute, one of those small ones,
Right.
one, and I shared Ikigai and a few other things about, and I hadn't written the book yet. I just found out about it and realized when I do coaching, I used Ikigai, and it's,
Okay.
and I'll tell about that in a minute. But after I did this talk, I asked how many people knew what Ikigai was, and no one raised their hand. And I thought, oh, well, it's going to be good. And I share it, and I'm walking away, and everyone's going, there's the Ikigai lady, run over. And I mean, I didn't make it up. It's been around thousands of years, and I just learned the process about it and the 4 elements. It's what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and then I changed the bottom from what you're paid to what your value. What are you valued for? And the main reason is because I work with educators, and they're not paid enough.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. So true.
that
So
is
true.
so true. So if you ask yourself those questions, that can start to get to who you are and what your story is by using the Ikigai.
Mhm. Well, I do that in a workshop. I did a workshop 2 years ago at South by Southwest and some other places where I have them take what you love and what you're good at. And every time I do that, someone starts crying.
Oh,
And I run over there and I go, what's going on? And she goes, I'm not good at anything. And I went, oh, no, let's just look at what do you like to do? And what are your interests? And do you like to garden? Do you like to cook? Do you like, anyway, she got her over that feeling of no self-confidence that
yeah.
you're good at anything. I mean, come on, everybody's good at something.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Do you have, when you do that exercise with people, have you noticed that people will walk out thinking, I want to make a change? Do you see a transformation? What are some things that you find?
Well, it was a 90-minute workshop, or, you're not going to see complete change, but I was asked to come back. I've done that in Louisville a few times and a few other places where I've done this. They want me to come back, or they want to share with me what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then I hear from people who tell me, I want to get your book and I want to talk to you about it. And what I did is I tried to put up a book study question and resources for everybody. And, at the workshop, I give them all the materials because I want to make sure. If I didn't make a journal, I should have made a journal. That's maybe down the road. But some place for them to actually record these ideas, like answer the question, place to answer the question. But yeah, it was just You know what, Jamie? I did another thing in the workshop at 2 years ago at South by Southwest that it did change them. And
Wow.
it was called Story Exchange because stories mean a lot.
Yes.
You ever heard of that?
No.
No.
It's from Narrative 4. That's the name, Narrative 4, the number 4.org. And that's where if I was going to sit across from you and tell you in 2 minutes who I am, and you're
Mm.
just listening to me, and then I listen to you, and then I come back and summarize by saying, "Hi, my name is Jamie Sapanara." I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Yes, for sure.
Sapanara. And this is my story, and you listen to me telling your story,
Oh,
and
yes.
then that's what happened. And I had 150 people in the room at,
Wow.
yeah, it was a big ballroom.
Wow.
And the fun thing was they were crying, they were hugging, they didn't know each other, and they walking away, and and one person changed so much that he wanted to share what
Oh,
happened. And
yes.
yeah, he was my I went dancing the night before with him. But it was fun to
So
see.
that was life-changing. That was life-changing.
Yes.
Right. Being able to
That was
dance with him.
but that wasn't it.
Oh, okay.
He was telling his story, which was very painful, and someone heard him, and he said, "That's the first time I've been heard."
Heard.
Oh,
Seen, heard, and valued. Yeah. Mm.
And that's really sad. So
Yeah.
that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Feeling seen, heard, and valued.
Yeah. That's
right.
so important. And even like as teachers in the classroom, being able to create those experiences, that environment. I always talk about cooperative learning, and that's exactly that's one of the called something different, but that's one of the activities that you would do when you're trying to do team building. And that repeating, that summarizing is so important. And that's what triggered that, it sounds like, because someone may have, said it, summarized it in a different way. Like, wow, yeah, you're right. I didn't hear that from myself, but now hearing you say it, that's really powerful. Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
I was lucky to work with 6 Seconds. It's a group. And Josh Friedman was on my show, on my podcast, and learned a lot from him about this. And then they did a workshop online, so I was able to, a coaching workshop. And I was put in the room with someone who had lived through a war in
Mm.
Bosnia.
Oh,
And
oh,
so I'm sitting here going, when you're in an international space online or in a conference like ITSE or COSIN or any of these conferences and meet people from anywhere, and then it opens the door to you to realize we're all human. We
yeah.
all have
Yeah.
similar experiences, and we all have vulnerabilities. And sometimes when we share them, we're not sure how the other person's going to be. But if you're put in an environment where you can actually open up like that and
Yeah.
someone really hears you, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And sometimes it is easier to tell someone you don't know.
So you went from dental hygienist, realizing that wasn't your why, right? And then you realized when you were teaching that practice to others, like, wow, I'm good at this. I'm into this. How did you connect with K-12, and how did that trajectory go from there?
Well, there's a lot of ways it happened. One was working part-time. I was able to work with my children's school. Next
Yeah.
thing, I fell in love with computers. I mean, so much. My family thought there was something wrong with me. I bought one of the first computers that came out, took it apart, and put it back together again. And they're going, "Who is mom?" That's
91, 93.
even before that, 80s,
Wow.
in the 80s. I mean, I got every one of the first. Do you know the first Apple Lisa or whatever was $4,200?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Right.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
so much
Oh,
money.
yeah.
And it had, I don't even think it had 64,
No.
and it had a
Right.
drive. I thought it was the best thing ever. I even had the kind that had the 8-inch floppy disk.
Yes, of
My
course.
gosh, how old I am, I mean, that
Yes.
and well, I wanted to learn everything about it. And I also started I started a computer club.
Oh,
I ended up doing Gate. I went and got back got
yes.
my Git and my life.
Right.
And I also, because I love technology, I started working with CTAP, California Technology Assistant Project. I'm in California in the Bay Area.
Okay.
And so they liked me. And so I ended up working as a consultant as I
Mm,
was teaching and worked as a consultant for 7 years there, doing grant grooming, grant writing, and helping. And in the meantime, wrote a grant and became a project manager. So, I mean, there's all these things. It's
right.
like I just fell in love with it so much that my family, they're like, oh, I don't know. She's sick or what's going on?
Oh,
So
that's
technology was the hook.
technology was the heart.
Technology. And then I started developing things. I developed an individual learning plan. I hired a team, used FileMaker Pro. Remember that?
Yes,
Oh,
I
yes.
do.
And then learned Lasso and learned how to code and do all of that and brought in and selling it all over that. It was just amazing.
Wow.
Then I said, I'm working with Oakland Unified and they wanted me to, ended up being a consultant. That was the
Okay.
best educational consultant because I was working in the school. Pretty soon, I kept being moved up. Like
Okay.
yeah. So I ended up working at the district office at Oakland and ended up with a grant that I helped, right, with core values. It was um, grades 4 through 8. And it was all around using technology and everything. And they wanted me to teach Dreamweaver to
No.
all the teachers so they could put up the curriculum every day. Come on.
Yes, right.
Anyway, it was like crazy. So we taught as many as we could. And then they had the FTP and that Monday. And on Sunday night, I had 12 teachers on my doorstep crying, like, there's no.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. So what I ended up doing is going into Oakland and saying, we need a better product. There's nothing out there at the time. There was nothing like there
No.
is now.
Yeah,
And
no.
so I created my e-coach. And that was,
Oh.
it's where you could insert, in a field and then it would pop up in your lesson. You could put pictures, you could put videos, you could do all the things that you do now and they have it available everywhere.
Yeah.
But that was my company. I had
Oh.
I still have it. I just transferred it over to K12leaders.com. But I was all around the country, all around, and I had 100 coaches. I had 12 employees. Yeah,
Well, I didn't
Wow.
know you transferred it to K-12 leaders. That's so
yeah.
interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
I love Mike Bronder and I love team, and I'm on the board of Divide now. And my thing was, I can't do it anymore. It's the system is too old. It needed to be updated. And there's a lot of people that had curriculum up there. And I'm trying to figure out how we're going to move it. But they did make the individual learning plan. They
Okay.
did. And they are looking at making links to everything. So, I mean, it's
Cool.
20 some years or more of resources. I mean, there's over 50 that I mean, I have a library, a standards tool, surveys,
Oh
whole
my
bunch of
God.
stuff. A
So
lot.
much information. Yes.
Interesting. I love that. And like Jerry said, technology was the hook. So you had this trajectory and you kind of learned about you. And I guess you took some of that and created this book. What's the framework there that helps others to define their why?
Well, I used multiple, so there's different chapters. The Ikigai is one.
Yep.
The other is stories. So every chapter has someone's story. There's 26 people that shared strategies. Like I did a lot with the Sustainable Development Goals.
Mhm.
And so there's several people. One unfortunately passed away. And he was
Oh,
lovely, Steve Softak. And
mm.
but he was working in China and did a lot of work. So his story. But everyone that is in my book, except a few, have been on my podcast. And that's why except one, and that I don't know if you got to that one, but it's George Foreman.
Oh, okay.
He's he's actually a family friend.
Oh
And
my God, so
he was
funny.
my angel with my coach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that's interesting. All
Yeah,
right.
it's
Makes
I
sense.
think it's page 188. I think if you have it. Yeah, 188 and 189.
Oh, that's so
Yeah, so
cool.
just I have an interesting life.
You
Yeah,
do.
you do. You
Why?
do. Many pockets there.
There
Uh,
was another facet of your life that I wanted to talk about because you talked about the technology, and that was the hook, but you are very connected to people and coaching and mentoring. And I know at South by Southwest, you had mentoring sessions,
yes.
people, and I tried to sign up and couldn't get in because it
Yeah.
was sold out early. So, what is that like? What do you do with that? Tell us about it.
Mentoring, I can tell you what, I mean, this is my 3rd year or 4th year doing mentoring at South by Southwest. And
Yes.
what I love is it's not enough time. It's only 12, 15 minutes. But
Oh,
yeah, but what is really interesting is through the years, what during 2020 or 2021, I can't remember when we didn't have, we had a virtual um,
yeah.
conference. I had 14 people virtually. And in that, 10 of them have been on my show because I was able to spend more time, get to
Oh, right.
know them. And some of them, I mean, one lady, Juliana Tafur, is a filmmaker and a director. And her film is so amazing called Listen. So that's all
Oh,
about learning how to listen. And what do you do if you have someone you don't agree with? And that's so
Right.
and she was originally from Colombia. And another is Kathy Mengarden from London or London. Yeah. And I mean, I was just like blown away with the people I've met. This time I met this lovely man from Japan who didn't speak any English. We only had 12 minutes and he pulled out his iPad and used a translation tool going back and forth and asking me things that I probably don't know how to answer. But that it's opening up and listening and trying to figure out
yeah.
if if there's some ideas or some strategies or some places you can point people to get support if they need it, or book or another resource.
Right. Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
You really combined those two worlds well, the social, emotional, and support and helping others with the technology.
Yeah, and since I did coaching, right now I'm working on my life coach certification. I only
Perfect.
because I don't feel I had enough skills and tools, and so I'm working on that. So if I do get someone who really wants to find their why, define their why, or want,
Yes.
I want to be able to do it right, and so that's what I'm working on right now.
You do it naturally, but now you just want to have some certification behind it. That's really great. That's really
Well, I've
great.
had a lot of training, but
Right.
cognitive coaching, and it's just that I wanted to do life coaching different. And so we'll see. I don't know. I just like listening and helping people. And even with my podcast, I always do a pre-planning session. And sometimes someone will tell me something during the podcast and I pause it and I go, "Are you sure you want to put that up on the internet
Oh,
out there?" And I've had some stories that they all say yes. But
Yeah.
some stories, I'm like, "You never told anyone else?" Oh,
Wow.
I feel so honored that you're willing
to
you know,
tell. Yes. Yes. Well, you have that kind of magnetism that brings people towards you and they want to talk.
Good listener, right? That's what a mentor is all about. And you have this really strong sense of empathy, I noticed as well. And that's one of the components in the book too, isn't it?
Yeah, well, empathy is I do it, with Brene Brown's book and all of her resources and everything. Um, that idea, in fact, that's the same thing with Juliana Tafur. We talked about the listen. Um, it was about, how they say put the other person's shoes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They both had said, take your shoes off first, then put the shoes on.
Oh, okay.
The problem is many times when we listen, we're looking at it, we're not really listening. We're responding, thinking how we're going to respond instead of really listening to what
Right.
people are saying.
Right. Right.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
so
that's
true.
a great way to think about it. Love that. So, Barbara, what's next for you?
Well, I started another podcast called
Oh,
Real Talk with Barbara and Nicole. It's all about authenticity in a polarized society. We've had
Ooh.
4 episodes, and now we're talking about doing a series around polarization. What does it mean, and why is it happening, and all of that. So that's kind of fun. Nicole Biscotti, and she lives in Mexico and works in the States, and she's just amazing. I'm lucky to have her with me, and she in my new book. My new book is Grow Your Why One Story at a Time. And I have 23 stories. And those stories are about something that challenged them to kind of help them discover who they are. And there's 3 parts to it. First part is define your why. So how did
right.
that happen? The second is what did you do on your journey? With your why, did it change something? Because your why sometimes changes as you grow. And then the last one is grow your why. What kinds of things did you do to actually make it bigger and better? And so I'm really excited. It's coming out, I hope soon. It's just taking a little longer. But that's one other thing I'm doing. And I actually started with the idea that I'd coach aspiring authors and podcasters. So I set up a new website called widepresspublishing.net. So that way, if someone wants to do a podcast, I can give them some strategies and help them in a direction, and maybe help them with ways on promoting it and things like that. And then if they want to write a book, I've helped so many people write come up with ideas and write their books. And I've written a lot of forwards and a lot of reviews, and I thought, maybe I should do this and really come up with a
Yeah. Well, Barbara, that leads me to a really important question. What kind of vitamins do you take to have this much energy and to do all of this stuff? My God.
I'm like you mentioned Erica Sandstrom earlier. She's
Yeah.
a friend of mine. Both of us that we must have ADD or something because I just have a lot of energy, and it's not. I probably don't eat as well as I should.
And it's funny because Eric and I had talked about that, and she's a night owl. That's how some ways, that's how she gets these great ideas and she keeps going. Are you also a night owl, or are you the daytime?
I do different. I love early morning when no
Yeah.
one else is up, and I like to get my cup of coffee in. I have a very beautiful garden. I want you to come over.
Oh.
Yes, I have a beautiful garden, and I like to just take my coffee outside, listen to the birds, and then come back in, and then my brain is just like, "Ugh."
So smart.
Oh
That is
my
so
gosh.
good. I like
Yes.
that. I like that a
Yeah.
lot.
No.
You're
Oh
just
my
such
God.
an amazing lady and so
Uh,
inspirational. I just want to be like you when I grow up.
I know. I know. And I just love how no matter what you do for yourself, you're always finding ways that you can give others that wisdom and that help and give them a path. So I just think that's just so special. It's so special. So
Well,
the icon you are.
I don't know. I just love it. I found that I love connecting people, and I love the story. So I use my new kind of tagline and call myself a story weaver. Mainly
Cool.
because that's I'm looking at right now trying to pull the themes together, and of all the different people that have been on my show, and I just I just feel so honored that I'm able to do this, and I'm honored. Boy, did I fall in love with you too.
Me-
I mean, we met, and I felt like you said, you felt like you knew me. I knew you. I just knew it.
It was such a special time. It was only for like 2 days, and it was really, really special. It really made our time there. It certainly did.
That's how I felt.
Yes, it was great. Well, we are looking forward to the next time that our paths cross. We hope
Steve,
soon.
Steve, maybe.
Well, I'm not sure I'm going because I didn't get accepted. My
Oh
session
yeah,
on a
We-
wait list, but I have no idea. I know. What can I say?
same with us. Same thing. Yeah.
But I still, there's a few things that I really need to do, and some people we were going to meet in Denver. So I got to figure this out. Maybe we'll talk. I'll figure.
Okay.
Yes, let's do it because we need to have some time together for sure.
Sounds perfect. Oh, I love this. Thank you so much for letting me share my life with you.
Oh my God.
Great. And Barbara, where's the best place to find you online? I know you talked about your podcast.
Well, I'll just do barbarabray.net is easy. That one, and I'm on X and Twitter. I started that when it first started, so it's hard to let go with all.
I know.
So I'm bbray27 there and on Instagram, and I'm on LinkedIn, Barbara Bray, and on Facebook and all the others. So you can find me, but I put all my links and everything on barbarabray.net, and then ypresspublishing.net is the new one that I'm working on. So
Oh my
So
gosh.
exciting. So exciting. And then is your book on Amazon? Because we like to link the book.
oh
in
yeah,
the
it's
book?
on Amazon, and I even have an audio version. So yeah, no, I hired the most wonderful narrator, so much better than my voice.
Wow.
If anyone wants her, I can share, her contact information. And so that's up there. And then it's I have the author page with my other books. I co-authored Make Learning Personal and How to Personalize Learning. So those are up there also in my so if you go to, it's Barbara A. Ann Bray. They had, because there's another Barbara Bray who's really famous, and they think I'm her.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
she was
great.
a translator. She's not alive anymore, but I'm sad that she isn't. But when you clicked on me, Barbara Bray, it went to all of her thousands of
My
books.
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
No. So we had to separate it.
yes.
Yeah.
Makes
So
sense.
we go to that barbarabray.net, that kind of a launch pad to everything.
Everything right
All
now.
right.
I mean, like you say, how do I do everything? I don't. When I met that.
Right. Right. And that's about, going in that great path is about taking the risk to get to the joy that you have. So it's a wonderful
right.
journey.
So true. And in fact, I was looking at some things I was afraid to do, and I had said, fear, you get everything and run, or you face everything and rise. And then my husband said, it's like feeling expectations that appear real. You think you can't do it, so you don't do it. And
That's true.
I went, that's smart.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. It does. Yeah.
Well, I just love this. Thank you so much. I can't
You,
believe
Barbara.
you.
Thank you.
So
It's been
great.
delightful as always.
Thank you for listening. And if you would like to stay linked up, Be sure to follow us on Apple and Spotify, and subscribe to us on YouTube.